Anime used to be Japan's quirky little export, like sushi, but with bigger eyes. Fast forward to 2023, and it's a $19.8 billion global juggernaut. Streaming alone pulled in $5.5 billion, while merchandising, toys, shirts, and enough keychains to sink a boat, raked in a whopping $14.3 billion. North America chipped in $2.2 billion for streaming, proving we can't resist binging pastel-haired heroes at 2 a.m. and towering over it all. Studio Ghibli. With its dreamlike tales, heart-tugging themes, and artistry so gorgeous it makes Pixar blush, Ghibli didn't just entertain, it made anime cool, classy, and international. In short, they took cartoons, sprinkled in philosophy and magic, and convinced the world it was high art, when cartoons became high art. To say Studio Ghibli changed the game is like saying Totoro is just a cat with a funny smile. Founded in 1985 by the legendary duo Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata, Ghibli created films that went far beyond the simple laughs and slapstick of Saturday morning cartoons. Instead, they gave us stories steeped in philosophy, whimsy, and heartache, all wrapped up in some of the most visually breathtaking hand-drawn animation the world had ever seen. Take My Neighbor Totoro. On the surface, it's about two little girls who meet a giant fuzzy forest spirit with questionable dental hygiene. But look a little deeper, and you find a film about coping with illness, the fragility of childhood, and the comforting embrace of nature. Then there's Spirited Away, a fantastical adventure where a young girl stumbles into a spirit world filled with gluttonous pigs, suspicious witches, and a lonely, gold-hungry ghost. The film became the first anime to win an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature in 2003, proving to the Western world that anime wasn't just kids' stuff, it was art. What sets Ghibli apart is its universal appeal. You don't need to understand Japanese culture to feel the sting of loneliness in Kiki's delivery service, the wonder of flight in Laputa, Castle in the Sky, or the bittersweet nostalgia of only yesterday. Ghibli taps into emotions that are as human as they are timeless. It's no wonder audiences from Paris to São Paulo fell under its spell. How streaming platforms made Totoro a roommate. The real turbo boost for Ghibli's international fame came when streaming platforms entered the picture. Before Netflix, Disney+, and HBO Max, anime fans outside Japan often had to rely on DVDs that cost more than a dinner date or sketchy VHS tapes swapped at conventions. Now Ghibli's classics are just a few clicks away. Imagine coming home from work, plopping onto your couch, and deciding whether you're in the mood for existential dread disguised as a pig pilot, Porco Rosso, or a soothing magical forest adventure, Totoro. That kind of accessibility didn't exist before, and it's turned Ghibli films into household staples across the globe. Suddenly, kids who once thought anime meant only Pokémon or Dragon Ball were falling in love with Princess Mononoke's fierce wolves and Howl's Moving Castle's flamboyant wizard. The momentum only grew in 2024 when Toho Kokyus, the company behind Godzilla's cinematic stomping grounds, bought G-Kids, the US distributor of Studio Ghibli films. With Toho's deep pockets and global reach, Ghibli's movies are not only being rediscovered, but also repackaged, re-released, and yes, merchandised to Kingdom Come. If you think you've seen enough Totoro lunchboxes, just wait. Pokémon, the gateway drug for a generation. While Ghibli was making anime respectable for adults, another powerhouse franchise was sneakily turning kids everywhere into anime fans without them even realizing it. Pokémon. When it first aired in 1997, Pokémon quickly evolved from a quirky Japanese cartoon into one of the most dominant franchises in history. By late 1998, it was already the highest-rated syndicated children's show in North America, a title it held with the same tenacity Pikachu has when zapping Team Rocket. The Pokémon craze was unstoppable. Suddenly, playgrounds became trading floors for shiny Charizards, and the phrase, "gotta catch 'em all," became less of a slogan and more of a childhood mission statement. But what's most fascinating is that Pokémon didn't just entertain kids, it actually taught them valuable skills. A US survey of 2,100 parents revealed that 3/4 believed the games encouraged strategic thinking and positive values, while nearly 70% said it boosted memory and teamwork. Who knew that endlessly grinding to evolve your Squirtle was secretly building cognitive skills? And then came Pokémon Go in 2016, which temporarily turned the entire planet into a live-action Pokémon episode. People of all ages roamed parks, city streets, and even shopping malls, phones in hand, hunting for virtual critters. On average, players added 955 extra steps per day to their routines. For once, video games weren't blamed for keeping kids indoors. They were praised for getting them off the couch. Pokémon proved that anime could leap out of the screen and into real-world habits. The AI controversy, can robots draw Totoro? As anime soared to new heights, along came a wild card: artificial intelligence. In recent years, AI has gotten surprisingly good at generating images in the style of famous studios. And yes, that includes Studio Ghibli. Type in a few prompts and suddenly you have a brand new Ghibli-style character that looks like it stepped straight out of Miyazaki's sketchbook. On the surface, this sounds like fun, even magical, like having your own personal animation genie, but not everyone's enchanted. In fact, Ghibli's co-founder Hayao Miyazaki has been one of AI's loudest critics. Never one to mince words, Miyazaki dismissed AI-generated art as lifeless, describing it as an insult to the very concept of human creativity. He has spent decades pouring emotion into every frame of his films, and the idea that a machine could simply copy that effort without soul understandably rubs him the wrong way. Then there are the sticky legal issues. Many experts argue that training AI models on copyrighted artwork without permission could count as intellectual property theft. Studio Ghibli has already taken a firm stance against unauthorized reproductions and piracy, warning that legal action may follow anyone caught profiting from fake Ghibli goods or AI imitations. In other words, just because your laptop can generate Totoro doesn't mean you can sell it on a t-shirt. This clash raises bigger questions about anime's future. Should AI be seen as a creative collaborator, helping animators cut down on tedious work, or as a threat that could replace artists altogether? The jury's still out, but the debate is shaping up to be one of the defining issues for the industry in the coming decade: innovation versus integrity. That anime's story going forward isn't just about how many billions it can earn, but also about how it navigates this tricky balance between innovation and artistic integrity. On one side, streaming platforms and AI technology are opening new doors. They're making anime accessible to people who might never have discovered it otherwise. And they're enabling fans to engage with anime in creative, even interactive ways. On the other side, there's a deep respect for tradition. Studios like Ghibli are rooted in painstaking craftsmanship where animators spend hours perfecting the curve of a teacup or the flutter of a butterfly wing. That kind of artistry doesn't come from algorithms, it comes from people who pour their lives into their work. The future of anime may well depend on whether the industry can find a middle path, one that embraces new technology without erasing the human touch that made anime beloved in the first place. Anime's true power. At its core, anime has always been about more than colorful drawings or flashy battles. Its real power lies in its ability to shape imagination and culture. Studio Ghibli showed us that animated films could be emotional epics on par with Shakespeare. Pokémon proved that anime could reshape childhoods, create communities, and even change physical habits. Together, they've transformed anime into something that resonates across generations and geographies. The numbers may show billions in revenue, but the cultural impact is priceless. Anime has become a global language of storytelling, uniting fans from Tokyo to Toronto, Sao Paulo to Sydney. Whether it's through streaming marathons, cosplay conventions, or AI debates, anime continues to remind us that stories, when told with heart, can cross every boundary imaginable. Ghibli, Pokémon, and the road ahead. Anime's rise from quirky Japanese export to global cultural titan is one of the great entertainment stories of our time. Studio Ghibli enchanted the world with films that blend magic, melancholy, and meaning. Pokémon electrified a generation with its games, shows, and apps, proving that anime could influence not just what we watch, but how we live. And now, AI challenges the industry to decide whether it will embrace new technology or double down on the human artistry that made anime legendary. The journey isn't over. Anime's next chapter will likely be as dramatic and unpredictable as any Ghibli adventure. But one thing is certain: anime is no longer just a genre. It's a global cultural force, a shared dreamscape, and perhaps the greatest example of how storytelling can leap over borders, languages, and even species. After all, who needs words when Totoro is smiling at you? And that's a wrap on today's deep dive into how Studio Ghibli, Pokémon, and the entire anime industry conquered the globe. If you enjoyed this journey through anime's magical world and want to see more content like this, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. And until next time, stay inspired, stay creative, and as Totoro might say, keep dreaming big.